You're listening to the Grind Line Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. I'm your host, Greg. You're listening to episode 330. I am here tonight with Ryan, and Tyler stumbled his way into the Zoom. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Can't complain too much. It's good to be back here. Stanley Cup playoffs is almost over, and we're getting ready for the sprint to the finish here for the off season, or to the start of the off season. As we were just discussing, the playoffs are, they could be over tomorrow, they could be over Friday, but by Saturday we'll be in full off season mode.
I will concur. Also good. Playoffs have been fantastic, more specifically this final. I'm thinking it can go 7, but we'll see what happens. Florida has them right where they need him to be. We haven't seen a McDavid or Draisaitl true breakout like we've seen in the other series, so that kind of scares me that they're going to go completely off or go completely silent. Not really sure, but Game 6 is going to be a lot of fun. So outside of that, we are in off-season mode at home. No kids in school. Mild insanity setting in. It's great.
I am also in off-season mode, and for those who are watching on YouTube, if you're not, please go to YouTube, sub to us, turn on the notifications, do all that fun stuff, and watch our faces talk about hockey instead of just listening to us. It's the first time, and I noted this, I have not worn a Red Wings shirt on broadcast. I maybe wore a Lions shirt one time, but I got a fancy new, I went to Great Lakes Crossing, got a fancy new One Piece shirt. So I'm wearing my nice One Piece shirt. If you haven't watched
What
One
does that
Piece,
mean?
One Piece is an anime. There's a live action version of it on Netflix that's really good. But One Piece is an anime with over like 1,600 episodes now.
1,600?
1,600. Yes, you heard me correctly. It is a really good show.
Netflix or something?
It is, yeah, it's on Netflix. The anime is on Netflix. It's very good.
I was at a Red Sox game a couple weeks ago, and I saw that logo on the back of a Red Sox shirt, and it was like a cult in my section. I'm like, what is going on? And my cousin's like, oh yeah, that's an anime thing. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah, they actually teamed up with, is Shohei on the Dodgers?
Ohtani?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they teamed up with the Dodgers to do like One Piece, like trading cards and stuff for them, which is pretty cool. But I'm going to stop talking about anime.
IMDb, so that's good, I guess.
I will do an entire like episode on it if someone wants me to, but I'm not going to.
I'm good.
So as Tyler had mentioned, we are in the sprint to the off season. Silly season's in full swing with a bunch of news that's dropped. We have Olympic team starter rosters, 6 players. I don't know whose idea it was to release 6 names for each team, and then they're just going to leave it probably until the qualifiers and practice and stuff happens. But 12 teams have qualified for the Olympics. Austria is not one of them. I'm kind of upset because we don't get to see Marco Kasper play in the Olympics. But the entry draft is June 27th through June 28th. And then we have free agency starting July 1st. So literally the draft is next weekend. And we're just in a rush. That's why this like schedule for the finals sucks, because there's been a couple where they've taken 2 days off in a row before resuming games. And they're going to hand out the Stanley Cup, and then 2 days later, teams are going to have to get together to do their draft stuff. And it's way too compact of a schedule.
It's been over 2 months. 2 months. By the time Game 6 plays, it's been since the playoffs started. How?
You remember the Chappelle Show episode with the wrap it up box? I feel like we need the wrap it up box where we hit the button on top and tell them to wrap it up, because it's a lot. Like, I don't know how teams like Florida and teams like Edmonton are preparing to draft, how they're preparing for free agency when they're not done playing games. Like, all that team should be thinking about right now is, how do we beat the other team?
It reminds me of something else we've seen, another example of TV ruining sports, where you have ESPN, one of the 2 TV partners, basically telling you need to start the season October 15th or later, because we have rights to college football and to the Major League Baseball wild card round, and baseball, or the NFL and all that. It's like, another example of TV continuing to say, well, we know the way that you used to do it, but this is the way we want you to do it. And then it screws everything up. We're seeing it in college athletics. We're seeing it now here. It's just like, can we just get to a point where things fucking make sense? Like, come on, man. Why is it that when we were younger, like even now, even if it was pushed back a week, the Stanley Cup was given out last weekend, like that would be okay. We still got a whole nother couple days of this. And then it just goes right into it. It's ridiculous. Sorry to get on my soapbox, but it is. It's ridiculous. And I love hockey more than anything. And I'm glad the off season is very short nowadays as a fan. But as a player, I'd be fucking pissed. And as an executive, I would also be pissed because you barely get a summer. It's insanity.
Hockey should be done by the first weekend in June. The Stanley Cup should be handed out by the first weekend in June. And then they're done. They have the rest of June to plan for the draft. Then free agency starts. And that would even allow you to maybe bump the draft up by a week and not have to go directly from the draft to free agency, because the draft ends on the 28th. Then you have, let's see, there are 30 days in June. You've got a 2-day break, and then you've got to go right into free agency. And they're not hopping on the phone at 12 midnight on the first of the month to have all these conversations with all these executives and all of the other teams to trade picks and all of the agencies. They've got to do some talking beforehand, or else it would never get done.
The other thing is too, in other times, I know there was a couple trades last year, but you already seen Chris Kreider get traded from the New York Rangers to the Anaheim Ducks. Like, that's kind of a big deal. Chris Kreider's a pretty good player. I know he's kind of declining, but when have you ever seen that before? It's insanity.
Because by now it should be done.
It should be done.
So we are going to talk about something. We're going to take a little side trip down to the Olympics in Milano Cortina. That is where the Olympics are happening next year. They start, when do they start? Beginning of February, I think. February 6th. Is it February? Yeah, February 6th. Dang. So they start February 6th. They end February 22nd. I think it'll be like another 2-week break like they had for the Four Nations. And teams have announced, like we said, they're starting 6 players, which is kind of weird considering that you're going to do all this to hype it up and then not talk about it until like the end, at least the end of July after free agency is done. So you're giving a huge long lag period before like you announce any more of the rosters. Interesting ones pertain to the Red Wings. Team Germany, Moritz Seider will be on Team Germany. I'm assuming he will captain it. I think it's a good assumption.
Leon Draisaitl.
I mean, they even posted a picture with him wearing the C.
Well, yeah, but that's because he wore the C at the Worlds.
You never know.
It's going to be Leon.
Could be some foreshadowing.
I don't know. Leon, I think it'll be Seider, Tyler. I think it will. I think Seider has more of that leadership quality to him.
Well, as the people in Canada like to put it, Draisaitl is just a passenger, so he apparently can't wear a C anywhere he goes.
I'll take that passenger right now. Send him right over.
Yeah, no shit.
Most people would.
I love seeing Seider get kind of like his time in the sun, because Detroit, because they've been bad for a while. I feel like any good coverage on Seider gets kind of buried. Or people be like, it's not that good. Look at what he's done. I feel like on the world stage, he gets a lot more coverage. He gets his time to shine. Germany is not necessarily a really good team, but he gets to show off what he can do as a leader and be a really high impact player on a team that a lot of times is not fantastic, but they've been getting better. And then if you look at Team Sweden, our very own Lucas Raymond has been named to Team Sweden. And of course he is one of the best Swedish forwards in the entire league.
No, I mean, that's kind of the no-brainer, right? If he wasn't on the prelim roster, there might be a little bit of worry there, but that's some solid names to be named alongside. Can't be Nylander, Hedman, Landeskog, Rasmus Dahlin. Like, that's, if Sweden can finally get over whatever curse they've got going now, this might be their best chance for it. But that comes at the risk of all these other incredibly stacked rosters that are going to be coming to the Olympics.
Team USA. Yeah. The fact that, now it looks like we're starting to get recognition on the national stage for players of the wings, like Sider, like Raymond. Like that's huge. I mean, I'm not saying that they are definitely ascending as players, and now the league is starting to notice it. Executives are starting to notice it. Other players, of course, are starting to notice it. But the fact that Lucas Raymond makes that Team Sweden, that's a hockey power now we're talking about. It's just another lineage of Swedish hockey players and the Detroit Red Wings, that constant bond that's been there for years. Incredible. But yeah, go ahead with Team USA. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, disappointingly, Dylan Larkin was not named to the preliminary Team USA roster.
It's the six.
It's the starting
six.
The starting six. I have no doubt that he will be named to the team, considering that he worked his way up to the top line center at Four Nations. Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, Brady Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy. I feel like they just had to put both Tkachuks on there at the same time just to be able. I mean, it saves them having to type another last name, I guess.
All right. Can you really argue that being the first 6 names to be brought out for Team USA? Because I can't.
Nah, I think you could have put Larkin in front of Brady.
No.
I just as more of an established player. He's been on international teams longer. Like I said, he made his way up to the top line role in the Four Nations, was one of the most impactful players there.
I think this is a non-story, in my opinion. Yeah. I just think, like, who are you? I could see the argument with him and Brady. That's a solid argument. But I saw people saying that he should be in there over Matthews. What?
That's probably Leafs fans that are mad at Austin Matthews.
No. It was Wings fans on Twitter basically saying that Austin Matthews doesn't produce in the playoffs. Okay, well, Dylan Larkin hasn't made the playoffs yet. So let's not
back it up. He did make the playoffs one time, Tyler.
Yeah, you're right. First year, rookie year, you're right. He did make the playoffs. But I mean, to compare him and Austin Matthews, that's just not a fair comparison. I mean,
correct.
Great player, will likely be on this team, but I mean, to argue with those 6, it's pretty tough. Team Canada's top 6 was insane, by the way.
I have no doubt that Dylan Larkin will be named to the team. It'll be at the, like I said, end of July when they finally reveal the rest of the roster that they've picked to go. Because
why are they revealing the rosters in July?
Well, I mean, it starts in February. You figure that if you do the 6 now, unless they're going to wait, unless they're not going to reveal the rest of the roster until like December, then they've done.
They waited until the Winter Classic in 2010 before they really. At the Winter Classic, I was there at the game, and Tim Thomas was named the goaltender for Team USA, and he came out on the ice and did his lap, and then on the broadcast, I remember they did show like the rest of Team USA. So I don't know if that's how they're going to do it this time around. I don't know if they're trying to be proactive, but like, what happens if someone, his game goes to hell? Like, say Jack Hughes' game goes to hell, and then you have another player like Kyle Connor come burst on the scene, and he's got 25 goals in December, or not in December, but going up to December, and he wasn't named to the roster. What, now Kyle Connor's not going to be on Team USA? You got to take the best 30 players that you can take.
You meant to say future Detroit Red Wing Kyle Connor.
Yes, I do agree with that, by the way.
But if they're going to wait until December even to announce a roster, then this whole announcing the first 6 people is absolutely pointless right now. Like, why build hype and then let all the hype die with the rest of the offseason to go? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, yeah, especially with the hype that's been around this final. You didn't need to throw this. Like, this is basically a talking point for no reason. I mean, I get it. The problem is they probably already know the entire prelim roster, but they're just teasing you with this amount to whenever they finally bring guys together. Maybe it's over the summer. Maybe it's later in the year, like you mentioned. I don't really know the timeline. Wait till the down cycle. Wait until after free agency starts. You got a month. You could have played this out and built that hype slowly but surely to get people really excited. This could be your lead into the regular season. There could have been. Release this on September 1st. Maybe they have already told guys will start showing up. There's going to be some leaks. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't leaks at this point, but I don't know. Whatever. It's whatever.
Doesn't make any sense. But what we're going to do real quick, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about a little bit of updates on some free agents that we've been talking about over the past month or so. and kind of if they fit where they fit, if we should pursue them. Give us 1 minute. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. During our quick break, I just want to tell everyone about something that's totally changed my mornings, Strong Coffee Company. If you're like me, you love your coffee, but you also want it to actually do something for you. This is the upgrade you've been looking for. Strong Coffee isn't your average cup of joe. It's an all-in-one instant blend made for people who care about their health and performance. You're getting 15 grams of grass-fed protein, 5 grams of MCTs for long-lasting energy, and adaptogens like ashwagandha and L-theanine to help you stay calm, focused, and productive without the jitters or crash. The black blend is bold and smooth, made from organic fair-trade Arabica beans, and their lattes, they've got collagen, hyaluronic acid, healthy fats, the works. It tastes amazing and helps you feel sharper, sleep better, and just show up as your best self every day. And on top of all that, they're eco-friendly too, so you can feel good about what you're putting in your body and how it's made. Check them out at strongcoffeecompany.com and use our code GRINDLINE, that's strongcoffeecompany.com, promo code GRINDLINE at checkout for 20% off. That's GRINDLINE for 20% off your order. Give it a shot. I think you're going to love it. The NBA 82 game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back. And we've got some updates. So we'll start with this one from Jets Nation, quoting, who was it? Elliot Friedman. Nikolai Ehlers will test the open market this summer. I am on record saying that if we cannot get close to Mitch Marner, if Mitch Marner's like, I am not coming to Detroit, I want to go where there are no taxes and it's sunny out, Nikolai Ehlers would be a good second, kind of like runner-up get for the Wings. People yelled at me and said, we don't need more small, soft, skilled forwards. We need big, bruisey, tough guys who can't do anything except for beat people up. I think Nikolai Ehlers would be great in this lineup. The only issue is generally his durability. He played 2 or 3 complete seasons, a couple really early in his career. Last season, he played a complete season. Every other season, he's had injuries that have keep them out at least a couple games up to a decently significant amount of time. But you can't deny that he is an extremely skilled player. He's a great passer. He's a phenomenal skater. Nikolai Ehlers is a dude that immediately goes on your top line with Larkin and Raymond and makes that line that much better. He is also going to be going to the Olympics for his team. So I think that Ehlers would be a great option. I think they said he's looking at around a $9 million contract.
Which that checks out for the evolving hockey prediction. They had him at 8,888. So for 7 years, right? 7? Yeah, 7.
Yeah, 7.
I mean, it is scary. Like most of the guys, I think that are on our fan Red Wings radar seem to have some kind of issue with durability, which is troublesome because how much are you going to shell out? I know you get the quote from several years ago. You don't pay a guy for what he's done. You pay a guy for what he's going to do.
The best ability is availability.
Yeah. So you look at Ehlers, for instance, going back to 2021, shortened year, 47 games, followed up shortened year, roughly 62 games. How many years was in 21? How many games were played in 21, 22? Was it like 70 some?
76, I want to say.
Something
I know
like that.
one of the really short season, I think, was 56.
Yeah, so he was still short on COVID. Not necessarily any fault of his own without checking it out, but follow up 62. Full season in 22-23, 45 games. He finally did play a full season in 23-24, all 82, where he had 61 points. And then this past season, he had 63 points in 69 games. Only
Nice.
he's never been a point per game player on a very stacked roster, which to me, I'm torn on. Like he's kind of, if he's making more than Larkin, I know that's sometimes the bar we use, and maybe that's an unfair bar. But you look at a guy that is typically right there on the verge of a point per game season. Frustrating that we're not seeing that more. Maybe that's just going to be the reality of the situation. But a guy like Ehlers, paying him more than that for having less offensive output on arguably a better team over the last several years, I struggle with getting up toward that $9 million mark. But is he still really good and he would make this team better? Yes.
Where he really improves
And it would
the
cost
team,
less than Marner.
yeah. Well, where he really improves the team is 5v5. So if you are one of the middle, I mean, I think you were 21st. You're in the 20s in 5v5 scoring in the league, and out of his 24 goals this season in 24-25, let's see, 18 of them were even strength. Out of his 25 goals last season, 25 were even strength. 9 out of 12 the season before, 24 out of 28 the season before that. He is a 5v5 guy. He does not depend on power play points. Could he get them? Absolutely. But he doesn't depend on it. And if you want to bring that up, he's the guy to do it.
I like that.
Well, you need that. And that's something that Detroit has struggled with. But you put a guy like him on a power play that's as potent as what Detroit has been the last several years. Maybe that's where you do see that point total go up. That's maybe the best case scenario, but you just mentioned it. 41 of his points last year were at even strength. The year before that, 54. He had 63 and 61 points respectively all in. That's pretty damn good for even strength. It speaks to the system. It speaks to the team. Sure. But you bring a guy in like that, if you're re-signing Patrick King, and if you've got a pretty much unchanged top six outside of bringing in Nick Ehlers, you're in a pretty damn good spot. And that gives you more flexibility with Casper. Lets you kind of float him up and down between first, second, third line if you need to. It gives you flexibility with Raymond. Really anyone in your top six to kind of move back and forth to try to find a spark if need be, because you have a potent offensive weapon to move around, much like we have with Brinkett, but he does bring a bit more size than him.
Well, a guy like that also elevates your 5v5 scoring as a whole. If you look at the 5v5 assist numbers, that's quicker playmaking, that's better passing, that's quicker thinking, that's faster zone entry. That is going to overall elevate the 5v5 numbers of all your other players. So if that's a portion of your game that you're really trying to improve, and you absolutely should be, because they were really bad. Not really bad. They were pretty bad 5v5 last season. They relied a lot on their power play, which for a lot of the time was one of the best in the league. But if you want to put those even strength numbers, Ehlers is one of the guys to do that. Another guy to do that, let's see, can confirm per Andy Strickland, Mitch Marner will not be returning to Toronto, will be playing for a new team come next season. And Mitch Marner is another guy where out of his 81 games played last season, 27 goals, he had 20 of them at even strength. The season before that, 26 goals, 17 at even strength. So he's another guy who can up those 5v5 numbers, but where Mitch Marner kind of has over Ehlers, besides his contract's going to be larger, is that Mitch Marner plays on the PK. He's one of the best penalty killers in Toronto. He is a very good defensive forward, where people are like, oh, he's small, he doesn't get the points in the playoffs, but he plays really good defensive roles. He'll go to the corner, he digs out pucks, like he plays defense. And like I said, the contract's going to be higher, whereas Ehlers might make around 9. Marner's probably going to command 12.5 to 13. But he just hit 100 points this past season, 85 the season before that, 99 the season before that, 97 before that. He's a guy who is going to be a point per game plus player. He's going to be a guy that can play on that top line, solidify that top line, let the second line breathe a bit. And I mean, I can't say anything bad about Mitch Marner in the regular season. And then people can say all they want, like, he didn't perform the way he should have in the postseason. I mean, he was a point per game in the postseason, so suck on it.
Yeah, but you've watched the games. When the games get tight, he kind of wilts under pressure. I'm not saying he's a bad player. Of course, he's one of the better players in the league, and you take him if you could take him. It's just a matter of what it's going to cost, which obviously it's just money and salary. But in terms of Like, first of all, is he going to want to come to Detroit? As I heard on Chicklets, Witt was talking. I think he said he spoke to somebody that's close to Mitch Marner's agent and said that he didn't want to play in the East and he wants to play for a Stanley Cup contender. I don't know what that means. I guess that would mean out west somewhere.
Well, LA
That is the
top.
opposite
LA
of
and
East.
Vegas are the top of the rumor mill out west right now, if I remember correctly.
And those both make sense. Utah also kind of makes sense too. I'm not sure that they're at the level of a Stanley Cup contender, but they're definitely one of those teams that at some point are going to want to, sell some tickets, and they're building it. They do have some really, really, really good young players. Anaheim's another one. I'm not sure if they're ready to be a Stanley Cup contender. Definitely a potential playoff team, though.
I mean, you look at Utah, they've got a lot of young, strong talent with more than enough cap space to make a thing happen.
They could make it happen.
Well, the other thing about Mitch Marner, like he has I just looked like Mitch Marner's shooting percentage over the past 5 seasons, 15.6, 16.5, 15.3, 15.6. That is an insanely high yet consistent shooting percentage, which is pretty crazy to me. The kid's a sniper. When he wants to put it in, when he shoots, when he wants to put it in, he puts it in. But his assist numbers are what's going to really, again, elevate your offense. You get past Dylan Larkin, and Dylan Larkin puts it in. Past Lucas Raymond puts it in.
I mean, let's put that in perspective. We saw that from DeBrincat, like his top seasons where he was scoring a lot of goals. His 41 goal season with Chicago was at 18.6. His 30 goal season in Chicago over 20.6. Another 40 goal season at 15. Then he slouched a bit and fell under the 30 goal mark, shot 10 and 11 respectively between Ottawa and Detroit. And then last year we see him hit almost 40 goals again at 16%. So if you got that consistency level with a Marner, especially as your setup man, at a low 40.
Yeah. And that's what snipers do. That's what goal scoring players do, is they can get that shooting percentage consistently because they're just so good at placing the shots.
Does Marner and Ekblad make you a playoff team?
Both. I think Marner himself makes you a playoff team.
I think you got to shore up the defense.
Yeah, but I think if you can outscore, like I said, if you can elevate that 5-on-5 play, I think a top 6 forward helps you just get in.
And do you bring Kane back?
Yeah.
I agree.
So Dave Pagnota, Sam Bennett is pretty much a lock in to stay in Florida. Deal around 8x8 being discussed, which they said on NHL Network. I have feelings. I would not have paid Sam Bennett over $7 million. You can say whatever he does in the playoffs, that he's mean, that he pushes people's buttons, that he scores in the playoffs. He's like a 45 point regular season guy. I think he just got a little over 50 this past season, but it's the first time doing that. He's normally in the 30s and 40s. I'm not.
He had 40 points. Oh, wait, he had 40 points at even strength last year, 51 total.
Why can we not just have Marco Kasper do the same thing? I guess that's my question. If you're saying we need a 2C, Marco Kasper proved he can be that. Look at what he went and did over in the Worlds and on an international stage. He took off from where he left off the end of the season. I think Marco Kasper can give you the same thing, and he's also known for being a get under your skin, don't take any shit kind of player. He's just not going to go cheap shot some dude in the head every game.
You know what? One thing about Sam Bennett that kind of surprises me, and I guess this shouldn't surprise me, he was drafted in 2014, 4th overall by Calgary. He's younger than both Nikolai Ehlers and Mitch Marner.
Yeah, but he gets hurt a lot more. Maybe not more than Ehlers, but maybe just around the same amount.
He'll be
around the same amount. And he's definitely not as good of a regular season player as Mitch Marner or Ehlers for that matter. But in the playoffs, he's certainly a guy. But I'm not paying him 8x8. That's insanity to me. I'm sorry. That contract will not age well. You could mark my words. And even if they have, win this Stanley Cup and go on to, because that, to me, that's an example of what you've already done versus what you're going to do.
He is a grittier version of Andrew Copp.
Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, well, a dirtier version.
And he can score a little bit, probably more than Copp.
NHL 82 game average. Looking over at Hockey Reference. One guy is showing at 19 goals, 21 assists, average of 40 points. The other one is 13 goals, 22 assists, 35 points. One of them has a 51.6% face-off percentage as an average. The other has 47. One of them, Sam Bennett, hasn't had over 50% in the face-off dot since 1920.
Sam Bennett is also not good defensively, like at all. He's so bad defensively, they will not play him on penalty kill simply because he can't do it. Like, it's not good. And then I had someone the other day tell me that whoever signed Sam Bennett's going to make him their 1C, and that he would play 1C
insanity
over Dylan Larkin in Detroit because he's got more intensity and he's got more passion for the game and whatever. And I'm like, that is...
Throw him on his wing and you might have some fun with it, but you're looking at maybe a prime Justin Abdelkader type player.
Yeah, and then I had someone else... no, actually, it might have been the same guy. No, different guy. That we should sign Sam Bennett instead of Patrick Kane, because Patrick Kane is garbage and all he can do is shoot out goals and score on the power play. And that's
you can sign both.
But
you're talking about a guy that upon a coaching change was a point per game player.
Yeah.
To finish out the second half of the season versus a guy that has never come remotely close to it his entire career.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's the glazing of Sam Bennett is absolute insanity. I mean, like you said, Tyler, people are going to pay him for what he has done in the playoffs that he can't do in the regular season.
He's a guy that Toronto would go all in on.
They should, though. That's the team. That's the kind of team that should go all in on him because they're in their cup window. He's a culture change for them. Maybe he's not going to do
Is
it
it though? Because they tried the same shit with Ryan Reeves and a couple other guys that are aggressive.
It's different though. Ryan
Sam
Reeves
Bennett
is garbage.
is a culture change kind of thing.
But I'm saying, would it make the most sense for them to go after a guy like Sam Bennett? Sure. Would they be paying him a 7x8 or whatever? I could see it happening, but to pay him big bucks and let Mitch Marner walk, all because your fans are a bunch of whiny crybabies, is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I just don't think Mitch Marner can get it done in Toronto. Point blank and sword. Austin Matthews might not be able to get it done in Toronto either, by the way.
Toronto needs to figure out their defense. I think if Toronto went out and signed a really good defenseman, signed Sam Bennett, and got a year of Brad Marchand cheap, they could probably walk their way to a cup. Like, that's what they need. They need two players that are gritty players and score important goals and important times. And they need whatever to pair with the corpse of Morgan Rielly, apparently.
So in other words, they're going to get Gavrikov, Bennett, and Brad Marchand.
Yeah, except for they're doing it on a Burger King budget, which they can't really do. So, and that's the next one. That's the one we'll end it with tonight. Pierre LeBrun says, feels more likely than not that Vladislav Gavrikov goes to market. I think when we looked at the projections for Gavrikov, did he come in at under 7 million? I think he came in at under 7.
He was projected at 4 years and 5.6.
Okay, so that is my defensive target. Give him the term he wants. If he says, hey, most teams are going to give me 4, give him 5, give him 6 years. Give him $7 million. That is the perfect second pair or top pair. Just lock down defensive defenseman. Probably the best defensive defenseman in the league. He's not going to put up points. There's almost no offense there, but he is going to shut down the opponents. And that is exactly what you need. You need to stop pucks from getting to your goalie. Because if you're running next season with Cam Talbot again, and you're running Peter Mrazek all season, although reports are out that Steve Yzerman is in the market for a goaltender, like, when is he not? If that's the pair you go into next season with, you need to keep pucks away from them. You cannot allow 30 shots a game. You can't allow 29 shots a game. You need to keep it around 26. That's where your probably sweet spot is with goalies like that. And Gavrikov is a guy that's going to help you do that. So I think that's a slam dunk defensive choice in free agency. And then my runner-up was Ekblad. And if Florida is going to give Bennett an 8x8, you can say bye to Ekblad.
I'll be intrigued what Columbus does, because another guy to watch is Dante Fabro. 26 years old. He's got the fancy stats that will make most hockey nerds swoon over, but he can do it on the ice. And if that's a guy that you can lock in for a good deal for several years, that could be a win.
I saw this morning from, and don't quote me, I think it was Columbus's Hockey News account, saying that the news is that Fabro is close to signing a long-term deal with Columbus.
That would be a very wise decision for them to lock up any of their loose ends, because that's a team. I know you said, Tyler, that Marner is looking to get out of the East. I still think, after talking a little while, like a week or two ago, to some people, that Marner to Columbus is a no-brainer for the cap space that they've got, with the unfortunate circumstances surrounding that reason and the roster that they've put into place. That could be a scary team by adding Mitch Marner.
I'm not
There's
sure
a
that
couple,
Columbus. I'm not sure Columbus can repeat next season what they did this season.
I don't think so either, but they do have some really good young players. The other situation that makes sense for Marner, Carolina.
Well,
And
there's
they have a ton
rumors
of
that
cap
they're going to
space.
offer him $14 million.
They might have to make a coaching change. If they get to the conference finals again and they get their ass kicked again, it's hard to say that you're going to fire someone that's gone to the conference finals, 3 times? But I mean,
all right, if you wouldn't have played fuck games with your trade assets and bringing in Rantanen, then trading them out, maybe you're actually having a different conversation and you get over that hump finally.
No, you're
in the
right.
East.
All of the conversation recently has been that Rantanen leaves, and then players come out and say how fucked the situation is in Carolina and how they don't like the organization and all of that. So maybe it is upper management.
Maybe that's why
problem.
Don Waddell is gone as well, and that's why he's in Columbus now. And we're gonna. I think that could be a huge revitalization. If is that even a word?
Yeah, revitalization is a word, Ryan.
Making sure I'm looking at things and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But if the way that they're situated right now, their young core players are locked up. You've found some diamonds in the rough with a couple of the Russians. They've got some solid goaltending to lean into. Is it great? Not necessarily, but they're young. I think it was Jet Greaves in particular. Saw Gavrikov, Tarasov, several young players really elevated their game to make them better. And if you bring in a guy like Mitch Marner, I think the core is set. You've heard a lot of players talk nothing but good things about Columbus, whether or not you like it or not. As a Michigan, Detroit fan, what have you, it's a solid city and area to raise your kids in, much like you see with many of the areas in Metro Detroit. And for what they've got going on, it's a passionate fan base that even when they were kind of struggling this year, rallied around them and they really went all in. That could be and it's a small, quote unquote, market in terms of media. So you can do a lot, get away with a lot more if you're Mitch Marner. Do you like the spotlight in Toronto? No. Do you want to get thrown back into that spotlight with an LA? I wouldn't think so. You could maybe do it in Vegas because it's a different type of spotlight because of the show that they put on. To me, Columbus makes the most sense, and they can still pay you pretty handily.
How about Anaheim?
Anaheim needs a couple more years to get their shit straight. I think they're still, I think, decently far off.
You said Gavrikov, and Ryan said Dante Fabro, who I watched a lot at Boston University. Good defenseman, good puck mover, pretty good defensively, if I remember correctly as well. One other thing, though, you could have both.
Oh yeah,
you could
Red Wings
have both.
have more than enough money.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Wings have more than enough money to do it, and that would shore up your defenseman. Now you'd have to figure out what to do with your Justin Halls and your Ben Sherratts. Petrie's probably going to retire.
They could go after for both?
Gavrikov and Fabro.
Oh, they could totally. If the price came in at the right point, they could, yes. Because you got $21.3 million to work with right now.
Even if it doesn't, you can figure it out one way or another.
Because the other rumor is that they're shopping Tarasenko. So if someone takes Tarasenko, then
yeah. The one other thing, I just have a quick question to you guys about goaltending wise. What would you do? Would you go in as is?
Lay down in a corner and cry a little bit?
I would assume that's their intent. You got to think that they're going to go find a number 3. And that's going to be a guy that can float between Grand Rapids and Detroit. Do they roll with 3? I don't believe they will, but we've kind of thought that the last 3 seasons, and look where we're at. So I believe the fact that they're looking at something is real, but who will that be? I think Lyon is done. Jack Campbell's gone. I just don't think that you're going to keep all your eggs in Talbot and Mrazek and hope that gets you through.
Let me ask you this. What about a trade for John Gibson if they eat half the salary? He's got 25-26 at 6.4, 26-27 at 6.4. What if they take half of that and you give them, say, a 4th round pick, 3rd round pick to take that contract away from them? They already have a ton of cap space. Lucas Dostal is their goalie of the future. I'm not sure if they're going to re-sign Billy Husso or not. Probably not.
There's no way.
And I know Gibson's not perfect, but you don't need someone that's perfect. If you're going to shore up the defense, you go out and you trade for a guy like John Gibson. I know he's not perfect. He's had injury history and stuff like that. He has a crazy contract. But I feel like that's the kind of creative kind of trade that they have to make at the goaltending position to improve it.
John Gibson's 2 seasons before this last season are what worry me. A 3.54 goals against with an 8.88 save percentage and a 3.99 goals against with an 8.99 save percentage.
Had teams in front of him, though.
Exactly. But again, he had, a mediocre team in front of him. He had a 2.77 and a 9.11. So...
And he's also not the guy anymore. It's Dostal that's the guy. It's just an idea. I mean, I'm not saying that they have to do this or don't have to do this, but it's just one of those creative ideas to go out and get someone that's kind of established. I know he's probably, he's only 31, but he's probably on the back end of his career at this point. But goalies do have resurgences. We've seen this before. And he was a top prospect, was a really good goalie for a bit. I don't know. It's kind of an idea.
A lot of these questions will be answered in just a couple weeks because, the rush to free agency. But I want you guys' final thoughts before we sign off. We'll start with Ryan.
Great finals. Go watch these final games if you haven't been paying attention. I'm excited to see how it ends up. Not necessarily excited for a back-to-back. I think I did say Edmonton in 7. I shouldn't say I think. I did say Edmonton in 7. So I'm holding out hope that it does go the distance and give me overtime for it, give me the ultimate chaos. I still would love to see a Canadian team lose and just let them continue to suffer. But it's been fun to watch. It's exciting. I'm glad that we're getting toward the draft and free agency in particular, because this is I would argue, a make or break year for Yzerman and where things are standing at. It's not all or nothing, but they have to be playoff caliber, and there's really not going to be any ifs, ands, or buts about it. So it's there's going to be some drama in the next couple weeks, and we'll just have to keep an eye out. RDRN 33.
I couldn't agree with Ryan more. This is a big off season. The alarm bells are going to sound if there's no playoffs next year in Hockeytown. We can agree to disagree about that, but
they've already started sounding and people are melting down already. So
yeah, I'm not saying he's getting fired or anything crazy like that, but definitely the noise is going to start getting louder. On the finals, just quickly, I picked the Oilers in 7. I think they're still going to get it done. For some reason, guys like Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, they find a way, and I think at some point they both, Draisaitl and McDavid, will find a way to win the Stanley Cup. I'm picking it. We'll see. I'll stick to it, and you can follow me on Twitter at SealDog91.
Yeah, you can follow me online at Breaking the Wing, Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. Give thanks to the Hockey Podcast Network for spreading us around. But give a shout out to Vintage Detroit Collection, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from and worked on, where we have an exclusive t-shirt collection. So if you go to their website, click Keep It Local, click the Grindline Podcast. You will find all of our designs there as well. And you can sub to us on YouTube at Grindline Pod. Turn on those notifications. You'll be notified every time an episode goes live. But that's going to do it for us tonight. So for Tyler and Ryan, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockeytown.